Hello everybody, Joe here with Garden of Luma. I had a viewer ask about my Jaboticaba and wanted an update on it, so I'm going to do that today. This is a red hybrid Jaboticaba that I purchased as a seed starter plant back in April of 2018. It's October 2020, so it's a little over 2 years old from seed, about 2.5 years old. I am in growing zone 9B, the Phoenix, Arizona area, the desert. And as you can see, I'm growing this in a container here for a few different reasons. But I just potted this up to a 15-gallon container, you can see here. And I'm hoping that it does okay with the transplant. It did. The root ball didn't come out as easy as I would have liked it to. I like to disturb the roots as little as possible, and this root ball kind of broke up a bit. So I'm hoping that it doesn't shock the tree too much or cause too much damage, because as you can see, this looks really beautiful right now coming out of a extremely hot summer, and it is filling out pretty nice. You can see it grows more like a bush than a tree, and it is a pretty slow grower but steady. So I mean, you can see this is 2.5 years and I'm potting it into a 15-gallon. So it grows steady, but I wouldn't say it's like a super fast grower or anything like that. And you can just see it's got a really nice look to it, really pretty foliage. And what I do for this is, you can see there's a drip line on it. So in the summer months, I water this daily, like I do all my container plants. But especially this tree likes to be wet constantly. You don't want this drying out. Like I know some fruit trees, you want to water, let them kind of dry out a bit before you water again. This is not the case with Jaboticabas, especially here in Phoenix in a dry, hot climate. These grow naturally in Brazil in a wet climate. So you want to keep these moist consistently. And what I do for this, which is a little different than all my other container fruit trees, is I pot it in mostly peat moss. So I'd say this container has about 2/3 peat moss and then 1/3 of my typical cactus mix that I use for my container fruit trees. And the reason for that is, one, this tree likes more acidic soil, which the peat moss helps with, and the peat too holds moisture, so it keeps the soil more consistently moist. So that is why I use peat moss. I would not use that for any other container fruit trees, but for this it seems to work well. I treat this almost like I would a blueberry plant. I also mixed in sulfur here. You want to keep the pH down, and then it just looks a lot better, green and lush, when you keep that pH down and keep it more acidic. You'll see when the pH starts to come up, responds similar to a blueberry, where it'll get chloritic and yellow looking. You'll get a lot more tip burn on it. So those are some indications that the pH is getting too high. And that is one of the reasons why I grow it in a container. Another is just space. It works better for me. But these can thrive here in the ground as well. There are some large established trees throughout the Phoenix, Arizona area, Jaboticabas, that are producing and have made it successfully in the ground here. You do want to give it a good amount of shade. So these are great to just kind of tuck in. You can see I got a lot going on around it. So just to kind of tuck in around other trees, or somewhere where it's just gonna get like dappled sun throughout the day, or just that early morning sun. Those are gonna be the ideal conditions for it. Really, it can handle our cold here in Phoenix pretty well. So I'm not protecting this at all. I'm just gonna leave this here throughout the winter months. It can handle down into the mid 20s, a little lower than that, without any issues. and we generally don't get that cold. So you don't have to really worry about winters here, which is nice. I have not tried the fruit yet. I look forward to it. This red hybrid variety is supposed to fruit quicker from seed than some of the other varieties. Some can take up to like 7 years, whereas this one says 3 to 5 years, so we'll see. All right, check me out at gardenofluma.com for more tips on gardening and growing fruit trees, especially in hot, dry climates. Thanks for watching.